What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to a little channel update here. Not a full podcast, just to tell you some things that's going on with SmarkOutMoment.com and the Smack Talk podcast and everything. Some of it in the immediate future, some of it over the course of the next couple of months or so. Nothing too crazy, I would say, but still, things I just wanted to get out there in a separate little video just to, I don't know, get it out of my head or just to tell people things that maybe they've picked up on over the course of the past bunch of podcasts. Maybe they haven't listened to those exact particular moments for different shows, and, you know, information gets lost in the shuffle quite a bit. So I wanted to just do something a little dedicated to give you guys some updates on a couple different things. A lot of it is the same sort of stuff. I don't want anybody to panic about anything. It's not like this channel's going down, or at least not as far as I'm hoping would be the case. But it's not like this is going away. It's not like, anything that's too crazy like that. Of course, the same sort of setup is going to continue when it comes to a lot of how this all works. But one of the things that I want to do inform everybody about is just that we don't really have a game plan over the course of exactly how we're going to do things over the next couple of months. But one thing is that I am getting married on Halloween, actually, and having a second ceremony, which is kind of a honeymoon combined sort of a deal, where I'll be going to Brazil for Caroline's part of the family. And over the course of those couple of weeks, what we're going to have is I'm not going to be doing the podcast. Now, it's mostly because I'm not going to have my recording equipment, and I'm honestly not going to be dedicating my time to that. I'm not going to take time out of, my honeymoon, essentially, to be like, hey, I need to do a Superstar Scores about such and such, or to do a hot tags running down the TV talk of the week. What we will be doing, though, is over the course of the next month, or however long it takes for us to start and to finish and everything, we are going to do a series of videos ahead of time that I'm going to air during those weeks. And what we're going to do with the hot tags is they're kind of not going to exist for those couple of weeks. 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. I don't know exactly the time frame, because I'm still trying to figure out when I'm going to do anything in particular. And one of the things that got a little bit messed up along the way with planning this out as much as I could ahead of time was they had shifted Full Gear. So AEW had previously had their pay-per-view the week prior, and it would have been tough for me to do it, but I had planned on potentially still doing a predictions podcast and maybe even the post show for it. Now, I planned on leaving in the morning after that, so I probably wouldn't have slept, so I probably wouldn't have done it to begin with, but it was still a potential plan. Now that it's on the 13th, it is not happening. We are not going to have a post show for Full Gear. We may not have predictions for Full Gear. More than likely, probably not predictions for Full Gear. So I apologize for not having that up, but it is what it is. Sorry, guys. There's priorities when it comes to some of these things. I'm sure you understand. And that's going to be a little bit more difficult when it comes to Survivor Series as well. Now, I'm going to try to continue to do some of the things that we normally do for Survivor Series. I write up a lot of articles revolving around comparing the rosters and everything. I try to do a call the spot for that. I'm going to continue my best to try to do that, but I can't promise that we're going to have anything necessarily in particular, when exactly they would come up. And on top of that, I don't know if I'll be doing a predictions podcast or a post show. There's more of a chance that I'll do a post show than a predictions podcast, at least right now. So I wanted everybody to be aware of that. I also don't know if WWE is going to add anything to, the end of October. We don't have an exact date for Crown Jewel. And if they end up going with pretty much Halloween, then I'm not going to end up doing it on there either, because I'm not going to step away from my wedding to have Crown Jewel coverage. if it works out like that, it sucks that we don't have the pay-per-view point stuff, and that's, some of the anchor content for this channel, and I'm sure that that's going to affect the algorithm, and I'm sure that's going to hurt the channel performance and everything that it's hard enough to run a channel as it is, but when you get into the specifics of struggling on YouTube, and then you get into it's not working the way that it is, but you're going to also take hits, it's a little bit daunting. So over the course of that time frame, it's not going to be the regular content with the hot tags and everything, but I wanted to make sure that at the very least we have something coming up. Not just because I want to make sure that the algorithm doesn't completely screw me over, but I also wanted to make sure that you guys have some content, because I know that you guys enjoy this, and I enjoy bringing you the content. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. Certainly not for the monetary side of things with the way that the algorithm is, that's for sure. But I wanted to make sure that we had something going on. So the current game plan is that over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to record a series of mock draft and fantasy booking scenarios, because I've personally been really wanting to do more of that. I think that that's a lot of fun to do, and I'm trying to do things that are a little bit more fun. I'm kind of getting this overwhelmingly daunting, well, we don't want to get into the whole the depression side of things, but this year has been a lot of me saying I really just kind of want to stop doing things that don't make me happy, and I haven't been able to outside of a few things. So one of the few things that I have done this year that has made me legitimately happy to do has been the James Bond podcast over on Fanboys Anonymous. If you have no idea what that is, first off, fanboysanonymous.com is my other website, the site that wouldn't be covering the pro wrestling stuff, but it covers movies and some video game stuff. I'm not really a big gamer, but some stuff in that realm. Other geek culture topics, like if I'm going to go on a rant about Pokemon, it's going to be over there. If I'm going to talk about my favorite TV shows at the time, a Simpsons thing or something like that, it's going to be over on Fanboys. It's mostly stuff like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and just movies in general and whatever. But anyway, a lot of you just already know that. But we had been doing a thing over the course of this entire year of A Review to a Kill, which was breaking down the James Bond series. That is going to have the No Time to Die review coming up at the beginning of October. So looking forward to that. But that's one of the few things that has been fun for me to do, even if the performance hasn't been great, even though if it's not making pennies, really, let's be honest. But it's been fun for me to do, and I need more fun. And I wanted to do something like this mock draft for a long time, where I've written up about 5 different pre-draft articles. Pre-draft meaning I'm drafting up an article, not like the draft itself, like mock draft. But I've wanted to do an all-time roster, just taking everybody that I could possibly be interested in, that I would want for my, you take them from different eras and you combine them, and you can pick say Razor Ramon from 1996, and you could pick I don't know, Triple H from 2002, whatever it might be that you are going in the mix with here. Kevin Owens, fresh out of NXT, et cetera, et cetera. And I wanted to do something based off of that. I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do with it, because sometimes just an article that's like that, it's not really all that engaging. You just look at a list and you go, oh, okay, it's, some of the most popular names that have ever existed. Gotcha. What do you do beyond that? So what we've decided to do is we're going to combine a bunch of these ideas that we were circling around, and over from the week of Halloween and the first couple of weeks of November, you're going to get potentially 2 per week to kind of offset the main event and the hot tags. Maybe 3 per week, maybe 1 per week. It's going to depend on how many videos we split it up to. But we are going to record a mock draft, or it's not a mock draft, it's really a draft, I guess, where the 3 of us, myself, Rob, and Callum, are going to blindly pick our all-time roster. And by blindly, I mean we don't have a list that we're working from. I have a list that I'm working from because I wrote out a list ahead of time, with these multiple different times that I've done over the years. But maybe if they don't, maybe if they do, I don't know what they're going to plan on bringing ahead of time. But what we're going to do is we're just going to do our little randomizer, figure out who drafts first, who drafts second, who drafts third, do the snake style thing, and we're going to do the whole thing that we've done before with the mock drafts and the other things where we're going to pick the roster. But it's going to be, who knows who's going to pick what. Rob might pick Bronson Reed, first off. We don't know. So it's something that'll be kind of fun just to see like who is the first picks from everybody and who gets, left out of the mix, because we're going to draft, I think, 70 people apiece. So there's going to be a lot of names in here. We're going to split up tag teams. So somebody might end up getting Bully Ray and somebody might end up getting Devon. And look at that. Turns out you can't have the Dudley Boys on your team. And that's going to be a little bit weird, Then we're going to take our cards and we're going to create a separate thing where it's going to be breaking down the best possible card that we can do based off of our rosters. That'll probably be a separate video. I'm almost 100% positive that's what we're going to do, is we're going to do the draft on one and then the 3 cards on another one. And then there's going to be this thing that I keep calling the consolidated ultimate roster, where we're going to take all the 3 rosters that we had picked, and potentially the leftovers, if there are any leftovers that we still kind of, oh man, it's a shame we couldn't get around to picking this person or that, person. And we're going to do this in like the Mount Rushmore and the top rope list and whatever type of style, where the 3 of us are going to have to agree on our ultimate roster. And that'll be, I don't know if we're going to have a roster of 140. I'm thinking probably that. So that way it's not just everybody that we've picked, because then why are we bothering to do it? We're going to have to cut it to where it's not everybody. But maybe 150. Maybe we'll cut it off around that just to kind of keep things pretty solid. I don't know. We'll sort that out ahead of time. But we're going to try to figure out what the consolidated roster is, and we're going to have to try to rank them based off of, okay, these are the people that we agree are going to be main eventers. These are the people we agree are going to be mid-carders. These are the jobbers, etc. And of course, not everybody can be a jobber because this is the best roster of all time, but we're going to have some debates about that. And then after that, we're going to create a 2-night WrestleMania card. So that is the current game plan. I'm assuming that that's going to cover the course of a couple of weeks. And then I don't know if maybe we'll do another thing. It's still kind of in the works a little bit, but I wanted to do that during the time frame where the wedding was going on, and that way, if there's any kind of issues with like I don't know, people wondering like, are we still going to have some content? Yeah, you are. Speaking of the wedding, some people have asked about this. I know that Huerta in the chat for the AEW All Out post show had donated as a super chat. Thank you again very much for that. And he had said that there was, part of it was just like a thank you for it, but also part of it was to contribute a little bit towards the wedding. And I've gotten some questions about this, and I don't want this to come out the wrong way or whatever like that, but on the screen right now, you'll see this is the link to the wedding registry. It is not something at all that I'm expecting people to necessarily do anything with. But since some people had asked about it, I figured I would put it out there just because, yeah, if you want to help us celebrate, if you want to, pitch in a little bit towards whatever the thing is. Again, I'm not expecting people to do something with this, especially since I'm always talking about the Patreon and the membership stuff on YouTube and the thanks button and the TeePublic and the Redbubble and liking things and subscribing to things. And I'm talking about all these different kinds of ways to like boost the channel and to donate money and everything like that. It is true, and it's truer more than ever, that the more that we get for things like that, the more that I can dedicate my time to editing things and to doing fun projects and to just giving you guys more content and, upgrading equipment and everything. Like, I mean, I had bought a green screen because I really want to do more video content for you guys, where we just have like our webcams up and everything. So I know that people had fun with that at WrestleMania. So obviously it's a huge, huge expense to have a wedding. And I know that some people have been saying, whether it's jokingly or serious, that they're like, hey, like, we'll toss a little bit for the wedding or something. So since people had asked, I figured I would put it out there. And if that's something that you're inclined to take part in, by all means, that is the link to Caroline and I's wedding registry, which I will, let me see if I can switch this over. I Now I'm thinking about it. There we go. It'll bring you to this page. This is our Zola registry and these cute little doodles that Caroline had made, which are just like the most adorable things outside of her, of course. But that's it. Like, it's as simple as that is. We don't have like a whole, like, buying pots and pans and whatever. We just kind of figured we would do something like this because it's a lot easier for a lot of people. But that is something that I figured I'd put out there just in case anybody was interested in that. And of course, I understand again, if you are not at all interested in taking part of that, hey, if you hit the like button on the video, it's going to help out a lot. So that's something else I wanted to mention. Switching back over here. Another thing I wanted to talk about is our Manscaped stuff that we have, where the current code that we have been using for a while of Smark has been deactivated because we are renewing our partnership with Manscaped, and you're going to still get 20% off and you're still going to get free shipping, but the code now is going to be SMARK20, and it's going to work exactly the same as it did before. You go over to manscaped.com, you put in SMARK20 as your promo code, and then it takes it off the bill. So I know that some people have recurring prescriptions. Yeah, this is like a medical thing. Subscriptions, and that you get another package deal or whatever it might be. Or maybe you're just thinking right now about taking advantage of this whole process and ordering something. That is something that I wanted to make sure that you are aware of because the code changed. So if you were to be trying to order something, you want to pick up like the crop preserver or something, and then you put in Smark and it says that it doesn't work, it's not because it doesn't work, it's just because it's changed. So the Smark code, yeah, that doesn't work, technically speaking, but Smark20 is the code going forward. That'll be the code for the next couple of months or so. And, it's the same for everything else. Obviously, we've been promoting them for quite a while, so you should know that the reason why we're promoting them is not just because of our supporting deal that we have going on, but just also because we ended up liking all the products that they had sent to us. So we do legitimately advertise this as not just something where we're just BSing you guys. Like, we actually do like these products. So it's a win-win. If it helps out the channel when you guys pick up something, it's something where if you do use that code, it helps Manscaped know that we're the ones that sent you, and then they can continue to keep this partnership going, and, every little bit like that helps. So if you are going to pick something up on manscaped.com, it's going to be over there at SMARK20 is the code that you're going to use from now on. What else do I want to talk about? When it comes to the content on the channel, I guess this is the last thing that I'll mention. I know that like the winds are blowing towards AEW, but WWE still has a wider reach. And traditionally, the AEW content that I've put up on the channel hasn't performed as well as some of the WWE content. Now, I am still much more of a WWE guy in the general sense, where, if I'm going to talk about like all-time greats, I'm going to think more WWE than I'm going to think about AEW. If I'm going to try to think of more topics to talk about, I'm going to think more WWE than AEW. But we haven't done as much content on AEW as far as like our features. And, we can't really do something like, say, the Wrestling with the Past about AEW because they've only been a company for a couple years now. And we can't do, Superstar Scores for people who haven't retired yet. So we're not going to have Superstar Scores MJF when he's pretty brand new to the business and super young, and he's going to be a guy that you're going to look out for 20 more years. But I do want to incorporate more AEW content. And I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that. But if you agree or you disagree, I want to know one way or another, because maybe you're in the boat that I'm in and a lot of other people are in, where currently the AEW stuff just seems more interesting overall, and you kind of want to have more discussions about AEW stuff, and you kind of want to, go in that direction a little bit more. And maybe you're not. Maybe you are somebody who is just sort of like, man, I come here for like the stuff about Raw and SmackDown, and I don't care about AEW. I kind of wanted to know about you guys. Where are you standing? Do you want more AEW content? Are you cool with it being split up the way that it is? Do you want it more 50-50? Do you want more WWE content, less AEW content? I kind of highly doubt that that's the case, but, maybe. And of course, keep in mind, the fan outs table, we pretty much can only do that for WWE because that we have access to like the Peacock stuff, but we don't have anything like that for AEW. But we can do something like, a top rope list and have that about AEW. We can do something of Wrestling is 2020 and have it more about AEW. We can do maybe one more match, and when we're doing that, based off of whoever it might be, I don't know, like, well, let's just look back on like a previous one. Like we had done one more match, Shawn Michaels, and I had suggested, or whoever had suggested, like AJ Styles and Kevin Owens and some other people. For those, should we do more splits where it's like, hey, let's just say if so-and-so has one more match. Let's say Mark Henry. Let's pick him. Mark Henry has one more match. He's in AEW right now. Obviously, we would pick somebody more along the lines of an AEW star. But we could also say, theoretically, if he were to go to WWE again, who would you want to have for his one more match? And then the same thing for WWE. If we were to say it's one more match for, I don't know, Undertaker, then in the future, should we do more content where it's like, all right, one more match for WWE, and then also one more match for AEW, and then even potentially say, okay, one more match, you got to pick between the two of them, we have to make a consensus. I kind of like the idea of doing things like that, where we can kind of double things up as much as we can. But we could also incorporate AEW more for Play the Game. We can do some mock draft type things for AEW. One of the things I was kind of thinking about doing, and I haven't figured out exactly how to do it yet, and it's kind of, I think it would almost be better if it was like a solo thing without Robin Callum, because it'd be hard to do for the three people. But I also had thought, hey, what if we did like an imaginary brand split for AEW, where it's like, all right, one person's going to have Dynamite, one person's going to have Rampage, and you're going to split the roster like Raw and SmackDown. What would I do with it? What, who would you balance out with this? It might work better as just something where I do it as just an experiment and I just show you guys, and it's just sort of like, hey, this is what I was thinking or whatever. It might also work well as like some middle of the night type of thing where Rob and I just do a dark cast and it's the two of us and one person gets to pick Dynamite, one person gets to pick Rampage. I don't know, more fantasy booking stuff on the AEW side. Should I do Call the Spot in like an AEW fashion? I don't really know what group of 5 people we can kind of do, but would you be interested in like a random edition of Call the Spot for the Pinnacle, Call the Spot for the Inner Circle, maybe Time Machine Dream Team, and we incorporate the AEW people in the mix? I don't know. Even the Sporkle quizzes. Maybe there's like some AEW Sporkle quizzes out there. I'm just kind of getting a feel. What kind of AEW content do you guys want? Do you want me to try to make up some new features? Do you want to incorporate the other ones? Whatever it might be. I don't know. Or just have more AEW discussion in general. Just more going overs where we just break down the roster, or we just talk about some of the hot topics and spend a little bit more time on the AEW stuff. Or do you think we have a good split as it is? Whatever it is, drop a comment below. I always want to know more comments. The more comments that you guys send out there, I read every single one of them. Unless, every once in a while, YouTube will glitch out a little bit weird, and I'll end up seeing, like, I'll get an email, because I get the email alerts when it comes to that, but I'll get an email where, like, say, Guest 5, who tends to comment quite a bit, Guest 5 will leave, like, 3 comments, and I'll end up seeing an email with 2 comments. Like, I'll get 2 emails back to back, and then when I'll click on it, I'll see that there's magically this third one that I just never got any kind of an email for. And I can reply to it. I can do whatever I want with it. And I can give it a little heart. I can like it, whatever. But I just never got an email for it. And sometimes that happens. So even if I'm not responding to everything, I'm reading every single one of them sooner or later, sometimes a little bit later than I should be. It might be a couple days later. Then I notice that it's, say Peter left a comment, and then I notice that there's something from Marco or, whoever it might be. But I don't know. I just kind of figured I'd give you guys a little bit of a channel update here, just tell you about some of the stuff that's going on, just because I don't know how hectic and crazy the next couple of months are going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be nuts. Everything's been crazy as it is right now. Long story short, just absolute chaos. And it's just kind of going to get busier and busier and busier. And yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I like doing the channel updates. It just seems a little bit better than just bogging down a podcast with something. So the next thing you're going to be hearing from this, I don't know exactly what we're doing for today, to be honest. It's 3:35 in the morning right now when I'm recording this. And we didn't quite settle 100% on what we're doing for Wednesday. So my current game plan, which may or may not happen, is for us to go back to what we did last year for June and October and to do another tier list of the rosters for AEW and WWE. And we may record all 4 in one shot and just release them over the course of the next couple of weeks. Or we may just do 2 for this episode, and then we might do 2 next week. It's kind of what I'm thinking what we'll probably end up doing. I don't know if we'll do AEW first or if we'll do WWE first. Probably WWE first. I don't know. We'll see. It also depends on what Rob and Callum are interested in doing and if they're able to do things at any particular time, or maybe we have some other ideas. But we had a blank week for this week. We have a blank week for next week. And that's currently my game plan. So you might be seeing that pop up a little bit later on today. And then most likely the next video the next day. Or you might see something else. I don't know. Maybe at complete random, you're going to get like a Mount Rushmore. We'll see, right? But anyway, I wanted to give you guys those little updates, or those big updates, depending on what they are. And yeah, just stay tuned for what is happening next. Obviously, follow and like and share and do all that good stuff. And whatever does happen will happen. And I'll see you with the next video, whatever that might be. But thanks for listening to this. Thanks for being interested in the channel update. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for leaving your comments and all that stuff. Anyway, that's it. I'll talk to you later, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out Moment, and I'm being counted out.